Do you want to successfully complete the C723 Objective Assessment exam? Then you are in the right place. Our website provides a list of questions and answers for your success in the C723 OA exam for free. We understand that acing your OA exam can be quite challenging. That's why we provide completely free exam guides and practice questions for you. In this video, we will cover questions from qualitative research, quantitative analysis, project management, decision analysis, and inventory management. So let's get started. 1. A retail manager notices declining customer satisfaction scores but strong sales numbers and wants to understand the underlying reasons for this discrepancy between metrics and sentiment. Which approach would best reveal the root causes? A. Mathematical profit calculations. B. Qualitative customer interviews. C. Statistical sales modelling. D. Inventory turnover analysis. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Qualitative customer interviews. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative interviews can uncover subjective reasons behind dissatisfaction that numbers alone cannot reveal, providing insights into customer emotions and experiences. Option A is incorrect because profit calculations only show financial outcomes without explaining why customers feel dissatisfied despite continuing to purchase products regularly. Option C is incorrect because statistical modelling predicts future sales patterns, but cannot identify the personal opinions driving the satisfaction score decline. Option D is incorrect because inventory analysis focuses on product movement efficiency rather than understanding customer sentiment and experience quality issues. Let's dive into a real-world scenario about understanding customer problems. When a retail manager sees declining satisfaction scores but strong sales numbers, we have a fascinating disconnect between what customers are feeling and what they're doing. The numbers tell us one story: people are still buying. But the satisfaction scores reveal hidden emotions and experiences. This is where qualitative methods shine. Through customer interviews, we can uncover the why behind the dissatisfaction. Maybe the checkout process is frustrating, or product quality has declined, or staff aren't as helpful anymore. Mathematical calculations would only show us profits and sales trends, but they can't reveal these human experiences. Statistical modelling predicts future patterns, but misses the emotional story. Inventory analysis is completely unrelated to understanding feelings. Only qualitative interviews can dig into the subjective reasons, the emotions, and the personal experiences that numbers simply cannot capture. 2. When a company considers expanding into an unfamiliar international market with no historical data available, management must first rely on which type of analysis to assess the opportunity? A. Quantitative revenue projections. B. Expert judgment analysis. C. Mathematical risk models. D. Statistical probability calculations. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Expert judgment analysis. Explanation. Option B is correct because expert judgment provides subjective insights about unfamiliar markets where historical data doesn't exist, making qualitative analysis the necessary first approach. Option A is incorrect because revenue projections require baseline data that doesn't exist for completely new markets the company hasn't entered before. Option C is incorrect because mathematical models need numerical inputs and parameters that aren't available without prior market experience or data. Option D is incorrect because probability calculations require historical occurrences or known frequencies that don't exist in unexplored market territories. Here's a fascinating challenge in business expansion. When a company wants to enter a completely unfamiliar international market, they face a unique problem. There's no historical data to analyze. Think about it. No past sales figures, no customer behavior patterns, no market trends to study. This is where expert judgment becomes invaluable. Experts who understand the culture, regulations, and business environment can provide insights that no amount of mathematical modeling could generate. Quantitative projections need baseline data that simply doesn't exist yet. Mathematical risk models require numerical inputs we don't have. Statistical calculations need historical frequencies that aren't available. But expert judgment, that's different. It taps into human experience, cultural knowledge, and professional insights about markets. 3. A manufacturing plant experiences quality defects at various production stages and needs to identify where problems occur most frequently. Which analytical approach would provide the clearest evidence? A. Employee opinion surveys. B. Management intuition review. C. Statistical data collection. D. Subjective quality assessments. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Statistical data collection. Explanation. Option C is correct because statistical analysis of data collected at each production stage can objectively identify defect patterns and frequencies using measurable evidence. Option A is incorrect because employee opinions may be biased or inaccurate about actual defect rates compared to measured data from production. Option B is incorrect because management intuition lacks the objectivity and precision needed to pinpoint specific problem areas in complex processes. Option D is incorrect because subjective assessments introduce personal bias and cannot provide the numerical precision required for quality control. Let's explore how to identify quality problems in manufacturing. Imagine a production line with multiple stages: cutting, assembling, painting, packaging. And defects are happening somewhere, but where exactly? This is where statistical data collection becomes powerful. By measuring and recording defects at each specific stage, we create objective, numerical evidence. Employee opinions might be biased. Maybe they blame other departments. Management intuition could be wrong. They might guess based on incomplete information. Subjective assessments introduce personal bias that clouds the truth. But statistical collection, it's pure objectivity. We count actual defects at stage 1, 15. Stage 2, 3. Stage 3, 42. The numbers don't lie or have opinions. They reveal patterns and frequencies with mathematical precision. 4. In decision analysis, when facing uncertainty about future events, managers evaluate alternatives by considering both their probability of occurrence and what other factor. A. Personal preference rankings. B. Monetary benefit values. C. Subjective quality ratings. D. Emotional impact scores. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Monetary benefit values. Explanation. Option B is correct because expected value analysis multiplies probability by monetary benefit to calculate the quantitative value of each alternative under uncertainty conditions. Option A is incorrect because personal preferences are subjective factors that don't provide the numerical basis needed for expected value calculations. Option C is incorrect because quality ratings are often subjective assessments that cannot be precisely multiplied with probabilities for decision analysis. Option D is incorrect because emotional impacts are qualitative factors that don't translate into the numerical values required for mathematical analysis. Now let's understand decision analysis under uncertainty. When managers face multiple possible future events, what we call states of nature, they need a systematic way to evaluate options. The key is combining two critical factors, probability and monetary benefit. Think of it like this. Option A has a 70% chance of earning $100,000. Option B has a 30% chance of earning $400,000. We multiply probability times benefit to get expected values. Personal preferences don't give us calculable values. Subjective quality ratings can't be multiplied mathematically. Emotional impacts aren't numerical. But monetary benefits, those are concrete numbers we can work with. 70% times 100,000 equals 70,000 expected value. 30% times 400,000 equals 120,000. The math reveals option B has higher expected value. 5. The SMART acronym guides objective analysis in business by ensuring goals meet specific criteria, including being measurable and timely. What type of analysis does this framework support? A. Subjective interpretation methods. B. Quantitative objective analysis. C. Personal opinion evaluation. D. Intuitive decision-making. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Quantitative objective analysis. Explanation. Option B is correct because SMART criteria emphasize measurable and specific goals that eliminate personal bias, supporting objective analysis through observable and quantifiable metrics. Option A is incorrect because subjective interpretation relies on personal opinions rather than the measurable facts that SMART criteria specifically require. Option C is incorrect because personal opinion evaluation contradicts the objective nature of having specific, measurable, and realistic goal criteria. Option D is incorrect because intuitive decisions rely on feelings and experience rather than the systematic measurement SMART framework provides. Let's decode the SMART framework and understand its role in business analysis. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. But what does this really mean for analysis? This framework transforms vague intentions into concrete, quantifiable objectives. When goals are specific and measurable, we eliminate the fuzzy, subjective interpretations that plague many business decisions. Instead of saying improve customer service, we say reduce complaint response time to under 2 hours. See the difference? The first relies on personal opinion about what improve means. The second gives us an objective, numerical target. This is pure quantitative, objective analysis, using observable facts and numerical metrics. Subjective interpretation would rely on feelings. Personal opinion evaluation would vary by individual. But SMART criteria demand objectivity, measurement, and evidence-based evaluation. 6. A startup wants to test market reactions to an innovative product concept that has never existed before. Which research method would provide the most valuable initial insights? A. Historical sales analysis. B. Focus group discussions. C. Regression model forecasting. D. Inventory optimization calculations. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Focus group discussions. Explanation. Option B is correct because focus groups gather qualitative opinions and reactions about new concepts when no historical data exists to analyze numerically. Option A is incorrect because historical sales data doesn't exist for products that have never been created or sold before. Option C is incorrect because regression models require past data relationships that don't exist for completely new product concepts. Option D is incorrect because inventory calculations are premature when the product hasn't been tested or validated with potential customers. Picture this startup scenario. You've invented something completely new, something that's never existed before. How do you test if people will actually want it? This is where focus groups become invaluable. Since your product has no predecessors, there's no historical sales data to analyze. Regression models need past relationships between variables, but you have no past. Inventory calculations are premature. But focus groups, they let you put your concept in front of real people and observe their genuine reactions. You can ask open-ended questions. What problems would this solve for you? How much would you pay? These discussions reveal qualitative insights, the emotions, preferences, and concerns that no mathematical model could predict. It's exploratory research at its finest, gathering human reactions to gauge market potential before any numbers exist. 7. When determining the reorder point for inventory management with uncertain demand patterns, managers must calculate daily demand multiplied by lead time plus which additional component? A. Subjective quality factor. B. Safety stock quantity. C. Customer satisfaction index. D. Employee preference level. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Safety stock quantity. Explanation. Option B is correct because safety stock provides buffer inventory to prevent stockouts during demand uncertainty, making the complete formula include this quantitative component. Option A is incorrect because quality factors don't directly relate to the mathematical calculation of when to reorder inventory items. Option C is incorrect because satisfaction indices are outcome measures rather than input components for inventory reorder point calculations. Option D is incorrect because employee preferences are subjective factors unrelated to the mathematical determination of optimal reorder timing. Understanding inventory reorder points is crucial for avoiding stockouts. The basic formula multiplies daily demand by lead time. If you sell 10 units daily and delivery takes 5 days, you reorder at 50 units. But what about uncertainty? What if demand suddenly spikes? This is where safety stock enters the equation. Safety stock is your buffer, your insurance against the unexpected. It's not about quality factors. Those don't affect when you reorder. It's not about satisfaction indices. Those measure outcomes, not inventory timing. And it's definitely not about employee preferences. Safety stock is a calculated quantity based on demand variability and service level targets. You add this buffer to your basic reorder point. So instead of reordering at exactly 50 units, you might reorder at 70. 8. Triangulation in qualitative research involves using multiple sources or approaches to gather information about a situation. What is the primary purpose of this technique? A. Reduce research costs. B. Improve research credibility. C. Accelerate data collection. D. Simplify analysis process. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Improve research credibility. Explanation. Option B is correct because triangulation enhances credibility by confirming findings through multiple perspectives, ensuring research accurately reflects the actual situation being studied. Option A is incorrect because using multiple sources typically increases rather than reduces the overall cost of conducting thorough research. Option C is incorrect because gathering data from multiple sources takes more time than relying on a single collection method. Option D is incorrect because analysing multiple data sources adds complexity rather than simplifying the overall research analysis process. Let's explore triangulation, a powerful technique in qualitative research. Imagine you're investigating why employee morale has dropped. You could just send out one survey and call it done, but would that really capture the full picture? Triangulation says no, use multiple approaches. Maybe you conduct interviews, observe workplace interactions, and review exit interview data. Each source provides a different angle on the same problem. Now, this doesn't reduce costs. Using multiple methods actually costs more. It doesn't speed things up. Gathering data from various sources takes longer, and it certainly doesn't simplify analysis. So why do it? Credibility. When 3 different sources point to the same conclusion, you can be confident your findings are accurate. It's like GPS using multiple satellites. One source might be off, but multiple sources triangulate to the truth. 9. A business faces a complex problem, spanning marketing, operations, finance, and manufacturing departments simultaneously. Which analytical approach best suits this multifaceted organizational challenge initially? A. Single department metrics. B. Qualitative exploratory research. C. Isolated mathematical models. D. Department profit calculations. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Qualitative exploratory research. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative analysis reveals connections across complex, multifaceted issues, helping understand problems that span multiple organizational aspects before quantification. Option A is incorrect because single department metrics miss the interconnected nature of problems that affect multiple organizational areas simultaneously. Option C is incorrect because isolated models cannot capture the complexity of issues that involve multiple, interrelated organizational departments. Option D is incorrect because profit calculations alone won't reveal the underlying causes of problems affecting various departments differently. Here's a complex business challenge. Imagine a problem affecting marketing, operations, finance, and manufacturing all at once. Maybe it's a supply chain disruption rippling through every department differently. Single department metrics would miss the big picture. Marketing sees lost sales, operations sees delays, finance sees cost overruns, manufacturing sees idle time. Isolated mathematical models can't capture these interconnections. But qualitative exploratory research? It's designed for exactly this complexity. Through interviews across departments, observation of interdepartmental workflows, and analysis of communication patterns, qualitative research reveals how these pieces connect. It uncovers that maybe the root cause is a vendor relationship issue affecting purchasing, which cascades through manufacturing schedules, impacting operations efficiency, reducing marketing's ability to promise delivery dates, ultimately hitting financial performance. 10. In quantitative analysis, the variable that responds to or depends on changes in another variable is classified as which type? A. Independent control variable. B. Dependent response variable. C. Neutral parameter constant. D. Fixed input coefficient. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Dependent response variable. Explanation. Option B is correct because the dependent variable responds to changes in independent variables, making it the response variable in mathematical relationships and models. Option A is incorrect because independent variables are the ones being controlled or changed, not responding to other variable changes. Option C is incorrect because parameters are known constants in models rather than variables that change in response to inputs. Option D is incorrect because coefficients are fixed multipliers in equations rather than variables that respond to changing conditions. Understanding variable types is fundamental to quantitative analysis. Let's clarify dependent versus independent variables with a simple example. Think of baking bread. The oven temperature is something you control. That's your independent variable. But the bread's internal temperature, that responds to your oven setting. That's your dependent variable. The dependent variable literally depends on the independent one. It responds to changes, which is why it's also called the response variable. It's not an independent control variable. That's backwards. It's not a neutral parameter or fixed coefficient. The dependent variable is the outcome you're measuring, the thing that changes based on what you manipulate. In business, if advertising spend is your independent variable, sales revenue might be your dependent variable. 11. When a convenience store determines milk inventory levels based on expected customer purchases, the milk quantity represents which element in the mathematical relationship? A. Independent explanatory variable. B. Fixed parameter value. C. Dependent response variable. D. Constant coefficient number. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Dependent response variable. Explanation. Option C is correct, because milk inventory depends on customer demand, making it the dependent variable that responds to the independent customer purchase variable. Option A is incorrect because milk quantity is determined by customer demand rather than being the controlling or explanatory factor itself. Option B is incorrect because milk quantity varies with demand rather than being a fixed known value in the relationship. Option D is incorrect because the milk amount changes based on customers rather than being a constant numerical coefficient. Let's think about the convenience store milk inventory problem. The store owner asks, "How much milk should I stock?" Well, that depends entirely on how many customers will buy milk, doesn't it? The customer demand is the driving force. It's the independent variable that the store owner can't control but must respond to. The milk quantity then becomes the dependent variable. It's not the explanatory variable. Customers aren't explained by milk quantity. It's the reverse. It's not a fixed parameter or constant coefficient. The milk amount changes based on demand patterns. The relationship is clear. Customer demand drives the decision about milk inventory. If historical data shows 100 customers buy milk on Tuesdays, but 200 on Saturdays, the milk stock must respond accordingly. 12. Project managers use the beta distribution method to estimate task durations by combining optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely estimates. What does this technique help address? A. Employee skill levels. B. Duration estimate variation. C. Budget allocation priorities. D. Quality standard requirements. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Duration estimate variation. Explanation. Option B is correct because beta distribution accounts for uncertainty by using 3 estimates to calculate more realistic task durations, considering potential variation. Option A is incorrect because the method focuses on time estimation rather than assessing the skill capabilities of project team members. Option C is incorrect because this technique specifically addresses time duration rather than financial budget distribution among project components. Option D is incorrect because the beta method estimates completion time rather than defining or measuring quality standard specifications. Project management involves constant uncertainty about task durations. How long will testing really take? What about development? The beta distribution method addresses this uncertainty brilliantly. Instead of guessing a single duration, you provide 3 estimates: optimistic, everything goes perfectly; pessimistic, everything goes wrong; and most likely, your realistic expectation. The formula weights these appropriately, giving most weight to the likely estimate. This isn't about employee skills, budget priorities, or quality standards. Those are different project concerns entirely. The beta method specifically tackles duration, estimate variation, the uncertainty inherent in predicting time. By combining 3 scenarios, it produces a more realistic duration that accounts for possibilities. 13. Mathematical models in business typically contain controllable decision variables and fixed parameters. Which element would production quantity represent in a manufacturing optimization model? A. Known parameter constant. B. Decision variable input. C. External market factor. D. Fixed coefficient value. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Decision variable input. Explanation. Option B is correct because production quantity is controlled by decision makers, making it a decision variable that can be adjusted to optimize outcomes. Option A is incorrect because production quantity is determined by management decisions rather than being a predetermined known constant value. Option C is incorrect because production quantity is internally controlled rather than being an external factor beyond company control. Option D is incorrect because production amounts are variable decisions rather than fixed numerical coefficients in the mathematical model. In optimization models, understanding what you can and cannot control is crucial. Let's examine production quantity in a manufacturing model. The company decides how many units to produce. The company decides 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. This is entirely within management's control. That makes production quantity a decision variable, not a parameter. Parameters are the things you can't control, like how many labor hours it takes to make each unit, or the cost of raw materials set by suppliers. Production quantity isn't an external market factor or fixed coefficient. The key distinction: can management change it? Yes. Then it's a decision variable used to optimize objectives. 14. Research hypotheses in quantitative analysis always include both null and alternative statements. What does the null hypothesis specifically state about variable relationships? A. Variables strongly correlate. B. No relationship exists. C. Positive correlation occurs. D. Inverse relationship present. Do you know the answer? Correct answer: B. No relationship exists. Explanation. Option B is correct because the null hypothesis states there is no relationship between the variables under investigation. It is the statement that researchers try to disprove. Option A is incorrect because the null hypothesis posits the absence of a relationship, while strong correlation implies a definite relationship between variables. Option C is incorrect because positive correlation indicates that as one variable increases, the other also increases, which contradicts the null hypothesis. Option D is incorrect because an inverse relationship means that as one variable increases, the other decreases, signifying a relationship that the null hypothesis denies. Research hypotheses are the foundation of quantitative analysis, and they always come in pairs. The null hypothesis is the skeptic's position. It states there is no relationship between your variables. None. Zero. Zilch. For example, advertising spend has no effect on sales. This isn't stating that variables strongly correlate. That would be an alternative hypothesis. It's not claiming positive correlation. That's a specific type of relationship. It's not stating an inverse relationship. That's still a relationship. The null hypothesis is the default assumption of no connection whatsoever. Researchers then collect data trying to reject this null hypothesis. If they gather enough evidence against it, they can claim a relationship exists, but without that evidence, the null hypothesis stands. 15. When businesses cannot identify or clearly define a problem they are experiencing, which analytical approach becomes impossible to implement effectively? A. Subjective opinion gathering. B. Qualitative exploration methods. C. Mathematical model creation. D. Interview-based research. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer: C. Mathematical model creation. Explanation. Option C is correct because mathematical models require clearly defined problems with identified variables, making them unfeasible when the problem itself remains undefined. Option A is incorrect because subjective opinions can be gathered even when problems aren't clearly defined or fully understood yet. Option B is incorrect because qualitative exploration specifically helps discover and define problems that aren't yet clearly identified or understood. Option D is incorrect because interviews can explore undefined problems by asking open-ended questions to discover underlying issues. Here's a fundamental limitation of mathematical modelling. You can't model what you can't define. Imagine your business is struggling, but you're not sure why. Sales are okay, costs seem normal, but something feels off. Can you build a mathematical model for something feels off? Absolutely not. Mathematical models need clearly defined problems with identified variables. You need to know what you're optimizing or solving for. Subjective opinion gathering works fine with undefined problems. You can ask people what feels wrong. Qualitative exploration thrives here. Interviews and observations help discover what the problem actually is. But mathematical models, they need structure, they need equations, they need defined relationships between specific variables. You can't write an equation for vagueness. Qualitative research defines problems first. 16. Expected monetary value analysis requires calculating the average of potential alternatives by considering both probability and monetary benefit. When is this technique most effective? A. Undefined problem situations. B. Clear alternative identification. C. Emotional decision contexts. D. Subjective quality assessments. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Clear alternative identification. Explanation. Option B is correct because EMV analysis works best when decision alternatives and their probabilities can be clearly identified and quantified for calculation purposes. Option A is incorrect because undefined problems lack the structure needed to identify specific alternatives and assign probability values accurately. Option C is incorrect because emotional contexts involve subjective factors that cannot be converted into the numerical values EMV requires. Option D is incorrect because subjective assessments lack the objective monetary values and probabilities necessary for EMV mathematical calculations. Expected monetary value analysis is a powerful decision-making tool, but it has specific requirements. EMV multiplies the probability of each outcome by its monetary value, then adds them up. But this only works when you can clearly identify each alternative and assign it both a probability and a monetary value. If your problem is undefined, you don't know what the alternatives are. In emotional decision contexts, how do you assign monetary value to feelings? For subjective quality assessments, what's the dollar value of pretty good versus excellent? But when alternatives are clear, expand to market A or market B, and you can estimate probabilities and financial outcomes, EMV shines. The highest EMV indicates the best rational choice. 17. The critical path. Method in project management identifies task sequences with zero slack time. What makes these particular tasks critical to project success? A. Highest resource costs. B. Deadline completion impact. C. Employee preference ratings. D. Quality standard levels. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Deadline completion impact. Explanation. Option B is correct because critical path tasks directly affect project completion time, as any delay in these zero slack tasks delays the entire project. Option A is incorrect because task criticality depends on schedule impact rather than the amount of resources or costs involved. Option C is incorrect because employee preferences don't determine which tasks are critical to meeting project deadline requirements mathematically. Option D is incorrect because quality standards are separate from the time-based criticality that CPM specifically calculates and identifies. The critical path method identifies the most important tasks in any project, but what makes them critical? It's all about time and deadlines. CPM calculates which tasks have zero slack time, meaning any delay in these tasks directly delays the entire project. These tasks form a chain where each must finish for the next to begin. It's not about which tasks cost the most. An expensive task might have plenty of slack time. It's not about employee preferences or quality standards. The critical path is purely about deadline impact. If task A on the critical path takes one extra day, your project finishes 1 day late. Period. This helps managers focus resources appropriately. 18. Qualitative data collection through observation differs from interviews or surveys because it captures information about what specific aspect of behaviour. A. Stated preferences only. B. Actual observable actions. C. Hypothetical future choices. D. Past decision memories. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Actual observable actions. Explanation. Option B is correct because observation records what people actually do rather than what they say, providing direct evidence of real behaviour patterns. Option A is incorrect because observation captures actual behaviour rather than relying on what people state as their preferences verbally. Option C is incorrect because observation documents current real actions rather than speculating about hypothetical future behavioural choices. Option D is incorrect because observation focuses on present behaviour rather than relying on potentially inaccurate memories of past actions. Observation as a research method has a unique advantage. It captures what people actually do, not what they say they do, and there's often a big difference. In surveys, people report their stated preferences. I always buy healthy food. In interviews about future choices, they speculate. When recalling past decisions, memory gets fuzzy. But observation, it records reality. You watch customers actually reaching for junk food despite claiming healthy preferences. You see them choosing the cheaper option over the eco-friendly one. This gap between stated and actual behaviour is why observation is so valuable. It provides direct evidence of real behaviour patterns, unfiltered by self-perception or faulty memory. Observable actions tell the truth. 19. Work breakdown structure helps project managers organise deliverables and supporting tasks. This tool primarily addresses which project management challenge? A. Budget allocation decisions. B. Task decomposition organisation. C. Quality standard setting. D. Risk probability assessment. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Task decomposition organisation. Explanation. Option B is correct because WBS systematically breaks down complex projects into manageable task components, organising deliverables and their supporting activities hierarchically. Option A is incorrect because WBS focuses on task structure rather than determining how financial resources are distributed among activities. Option C is incorrect because WBS organises work components rather than establishing the quality criteria or standards for deliverables. Option D is incorrect because WBS structures tasks rather than calculating or assessing the probability of project risk occurrences. Work breakdown structure is the project manager's organisational tool for tackling complexity. Imagine trying to build a house by just thinking, build house. Overwhelming, right? WBS breaks this down systematically. First level, foundation, framing, roofing, electrical, plumbing. Second level, under electrical, you have wiring, outlets, panels, fixtures. Third level, under wiring, you have purchasing materials, running cables, making connections, testing. Each level decomposes the work into smaller, manageable pieces. This isn't about budget allocation, quality standards, or risk assessment. WBS is purely about task decomposition and organisation, creating a hierarchical structure that makes complex projects manageable. 20. Businesses use quantitative analysis to recognise trends and understand potential causes of data changes. Even small data variations might indicate what? A. Measurement tool errors. B. Significant underlying problems. C. Random statistical noise. D. Data collection mistakes. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Significant underlying problems. Explanation. Option B is correct because small data variations can represent significant underlying issues that quantitative analysis helps identify through systematic numerical evaluation methods. Option A is incorrect because while measurement errors are possible, the focus is on detecting real problems rather than assuming errors. Option C is incorrect because dismissing changes as random noise could cause businesses to miss important developing problems or trends. Option D is incorrect because assuming collection mistakes rather than investigating could prevent discovery of actual operational or market issues. In business, small changes in data can be like smoke before a fire, early warnings of significant problems developing. Quantitative analysis excels at detecting these subtle signals. A 0.5% drop in customer retention might seem trivial, but it could indicate emerging competitor advantage. A slight increase in production time might reveal equipment beginning to fail. These aren't measurement errors. Modern tools are quite accurate. They're not just random noise to ignore, they're not collection mistakes. Assuming so means missing real issues. These small variations often represent significant underlying problems that haven't fully surfaced yet. By systematically evaluating numerical changes, companies can identify and address problems before they become crises. 21. Forecasting methods in quantitative analysis typically apply to decisions within what time range to maintain reasonable accuracy? A. 5 to 10 years. B. 1 to 2 years. C. 10 to 15 years. D. 3 to 5 years. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. 1 to 2 years. Explanation. Option B is correct because quantitative forecasting maintains accuracy for short-range decisions, not exceeding 1 to 2 years due to increasing uncertainty. Option A is incorrect because 5 to 10 year horizons introduce too much uncertainty for quantitative forecasting models to remain reliable. Option C is incorrect because 10 to 15 years extends far beyond the reliable range of most quantitative forecasting method capabilities. Option D is incorrect because 3 to 5 years exceeds the recommended short-range timeframe, where forecasting models maintain reasonable accuracy. Forecasting accuracy has limits, and understanding these limits is crucial for business planning. Quantitative forecasting uses mathematical models based on historical patterns to predict the future. For 1 to 2 years out, these patterns usually hold. Consumer behavior remains similar. Technology doesn't change drastically. Economic cycles continue predictably. But extend to 5 or 10 years. Everything changes. New technologies emerge. Consumer preferences shift completely. Competitors enter with disruptive models. At 10 to 15 years, you're essentially guessing. The mathematical models break down because fundamental assumptions no longer apply. This is why forecasting methods explicitly recommend staying within 1 to 2 years for reasonable accuracy. 22. When analysing business problems, managers must consider whether to use quantitative methods, qualitative methods, or both approaches together. What determines the best choice? A. Available budget only. B. Problem nature identification. C. Manager personal preference. D. Time constraint limitations. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Problem nature identification. Explanation. Option B is correct because the problem's nature and characteristics determine whether numerical analysis, subjective evaluation, or combined approaches work best for solutions. Option A is incorrect because budget alone shouldn't dictate analytical approach when the problem's nature requires specific methods for effectiveness. Option C is incorrect because personal preferences shouldn't override selecting the analytical method that best matches the problem's requirements. Option D is incorrect because time constraints shouldn't force inappropriate methods when the problem requires specific analytical approaches for accuracy. Choosing between quantitative and qualitative analysis isn't about budget, personal preference, or time constraints. It's about matching the method to the problem's nature. Consider a customer complaint about product quality. If you want to know how many complaints you're getting, that's quantitative. Count them. But if you want to understand why, that's qualitative. The problem's nature determines the approach. Numerical problems need numerical solutions. Human problems need human insights. Sometimes you need both for complete understanding. Using the wrong method because of budget constraints is like using a hammer because it's cheaper than a screwdriver. You might save money, but you won't solve the problem effectively. 23. Economic order. Quantity calculations help businesses balance two specific cost factors in inventory management. These opposing costs involve reordering frequency and what? A. Customer satisfaction levels. B. Inventory holding expenses. C. Employee training costs. D. Marketing promotion budgets. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Inventory holding expenses. Explanation. Option B is correct because EOQ balances the costs of placing orders against the expenses of holding inventory, finding the optimal order quantity. Option A is incorrect because satisfaction levels are outcomes rather than the direct costs that EOQ calculations specifically balance mathematically. Option C is incorrect because training costs don't directly relate to the inventory, ordering and holding cost trade-off EOQ addresses. Option D is incorrect because marketing budgets are separate from the inventory cost optimization that EOQ calculations specifically target. Economic order quantity is one of the classic optimization problems in business. Every time you place an order, you incur costs, processing, shipping, receiving. But holding inventory also costs money. These two costs oppose each other. Order frequently in small quantities. Low holding costs but high ordering costs. Order rarely in large quantities. Low ordering costs but high holding costs. EOQ finds the sweet spot where total cost is minimized. Customer satisfaction levels are outcomes, not direct costs. Employee training and marketing budgets are unrelated to inventory optimization. The EOQ formula specifically balances ordering frequency costs against inventory holding expenses. It's pure mathematical optimization, finding the quantity that minimizes the sum of these opposing costs. 24. A company considering capital investment uses quantitative data for expected future value calculations, while qualitative data provides information about what factors? A. Numerical profit projections. B. Non-measurable influences. C. Mathematical return rates. D. Statistical risk calculations. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Non-measurable influences. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative data captures non-measurable factors like regulations, politics, and technology changes that affect investment outcomes beyond numbers. Option A is incorrect because profit projections are quantitative calculations rather than the qualitative factors that complement numerical analysis approaches. Option C is incorrect because return rates are calculated mathematically rather than being the subjective factors qualitative analysis provides additionally. Option D is incorrect because risk calculations use numerical methods rather than being the non-quantifiable influences qualitative analysis reveals. Capital investment decisions beautifully illustrate why businesses need both quantitative and qualitative analysis. The quantitative side is straightforward. Calculate expected returns, net present value, payback period. These numbers tell you the investment's expected financial value in future years. But numbers don't capture everything. What about upcoming regulations that might affect your industry? Political changes that could impact trade? New technologies that might make your investment obsolete? Competitor moves that aren't yet visible? These non-measurable influences can make or break an investment. They're not numerical projections or mathematical calculations. Those are what the numbers already cover. They're the qualitative factors that spreadsheets can't capture. Smart investment decisions combine both. 25. Decision trees diagram sequential business decisions and their outcomes based on different conditions. This tool helps visualize what aspect of complex decisions. A. Conditional action paths. B. Budget allocation amounts. C. Employee skill requirements. D. Quality measurement standards. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Conditional action paths. Explanation: option A is correct because decision trees map out different paths and actions taken when specific conditions are met or not met in sequential decisions. Option B is incorrect because decision trees focus on decision logic flow rather than specific monetary amounts allocated to budgets. Option C is incorrect because decision trees diagram decision sequences rather than identifying what skills employees need for tasks. Option D is incorrect because decision trees show decision branches rather than establishing or measuring quality standard specifications directly. Decision trees are powerful tools for visualizing complex sequential decisions. Imagine launching a new product. First, you decide whether to test and market it. If yes, and results are positive, you might expand nationally. If results are negative, you might modify and retest. If you skip testing, you're taking a bigger risk, but moving faster. Each decision point branches into multiple paths based on conditions and outcomes. The tree maps these conditional action paths. If this, then that. It's not about budget amounts, employee skills, or quality standards. Decision trees specifically diagram the logical flow of decisions and their consequences, showing how choices lead to outcomes. 26. Variables in quantitative analysis can be classified as either dependent or independent based on their mathematical relationships. The independent variable is also called what? A. Response outcome variable. B. Explanatory control variable. C. Dependent effect variable. D. Result measurement variable. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Explanatory control variable. Explanation: option B is correct because independent variables explain or control changes in dependent variables, making them the explanatory variables in mathematical relationships. Option A is incorrect because response variables are dependent variables that react to changes rather than being the controlling factor. Option C is incorrect because dependent variables are affected by independent variables rather than being the explanatory controlling factors themselves. Option D is incorrect because result variables measure outcomes from independent variable changes rather than being the controlling explanatory inputs. Time to clarify variable terminology in quantitative analysis. The independent variable goes by another name, the explanatory variable, because it explains what causes changes in the other variable. Think of a simple experiment. You adjust room temperature and measure how fast ice melts. Temperature is your independent variable. You control it, you manipulate it. It explains why melting speed changes. It's not the response variable. That's what we call the dependent variable because it responds to changes. It's not the dependent effect variable or result measurement. Those describe the dependent variable. The independent variable is the cause in cause and effect relationships. It's the input you control. When researchers say X explains Y, X is the explanatory independent variable driving changes. 27. Gantt charts display project tasks with durations and linkages between activities. This visualization tool primarily helps project managers accomplish which objective? A. Calculate resource costs. B. Schedule activity coordination. C. Measure quality outputs. D. assess risk probabilities. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B, schedule activity coordination. Explanation. Option B is correct because Gantt charts visually coordinate task scheduling by showing durations and dependencies, helping managers organize project timelines effectively. Option A is incorrect because Gantt charts focus on time scheduling rather than calculating the financial costs of project resources. Option C is incorrect because Gantt charts display timing rather than measuring or tracking the quality levels of project outputs. Option D is incorrect because Gantt charts show schedules rather than calculating or displaying the probability of project risk events. Let's explore how Gantt charts revolutionized project management. Before Gantt charts, coordinating multiple tasks over time was chaos. Imagine juggling 20 tasks with different durations and dependencies. Gantt charts solve this by creating a visual timeline. Each task becomes a horizontal bar, its length showing duration. Tasks stack vertically, creating a comprehensive schedule view. Dependencies are shown with arrows. Task B can't start until Task A finishes. This isn't about calculating costs, measuring quality, or risk probabilities. Those are different project concerns. Gantt charts specifically address schedule activity coordination. They show what happens when, who's doing what, and how tasks relate temporally. Managers see overlaps, conflicts, and deadline alignment instantly. 28. States of nature in decision analysis represent different possible future events that might occur. Managers must evaluate all alternatives, considering what about these future possibilities. A. Certainty of occurrence. B. Likelihood and probability. C. Guaranteed prevention methods. D. Absolute prediction accuracy. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Likelihood and probability. Explanation. Option B is correct because decision analysis requires evaluating the probability of each state of nature occurring to calculate expected values of alternatives. Option A is incorrect because future events involve uncertainty rather than certainty, which is why probability assessment becomes necessary for decisions. Option C is incorrect because states of nature cannot be guaranteed to be prevented. Only their probabilities can be assessed objectively. Option D is incorrect because absolute prediction accuracy is impossible for future events, requiring probability-based analysis instead of certainty. Understanding states of nature is crucial for decision analysis. States of nature are the possible future scenarios that might unfold: economic boom or recession, competitor enters or stays out. You can't control these, but your decisions must account for them. The key question: what's the likelihood of each scenario? This isn't about certainty. If we knew for certain, decisions would be easy. It's not about guaranteed prevention. We can't stop all possible futures from occurring. It's not about absolute prediction accuracy. That's impossible with future events. It's about assessing likelihood and probability. If there's 60% chance of recession, these probabilities shape your decisions. You evaluate alternatives under each state, weight by probability, calculate expected outcomes. 29. Parameters in mathematical models differ from decision variables because parameters represent values that decision makers cannot control. Which example best illustrates a parameter? A. Production volume levels. B. Labor hours required. C. Marketing budget allocation. D. Inventory order quantities. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Labor hours required. Explanation. Option B is correct because labor hours needed to produce items are fixed requirements beyond decision-maker control, making them parameters in models. Option A is incorrect because production volumes are controllable decisions that managers can adjust, rather than fixed parameter values predetermined. Option C is incorrect because marketing budgets are controllable allocation decisions rather than uncontrollable parameters in business models or calculations. Option D is incorrect because order quantities are decision variables that managers control rather than fixed parameters beyond their influence. Let's distinguish parameters from decision variables with a concrete example. When planning production, some things are under your control and others aren't. You decide production volumes, make 1,000 or 10,000 units. You choose marketing budgets. You set inventory quantities. These are decision variables because you control them. But labour hours required per unit, that's determined by product complexity and worker skill. You can't just decide it takes less time. The hours needed are what they are. Same with material costs, tax rates, or shipping rates. These are parameters, fixed values that constrain your decisions. Labour hours required is a perfect parameter example. 30. Subjective analysis in business decision-making relies heavily on personal factors rather than numerical calculations. This approach works best when managers have what? A. Complex mathematical models. B. Extensive similar experience. C. Detailed statistical data. D. Precise measurement tools. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Extensive similar experience. Explanation. Option B is correct because subjective analysis leverages past experience with similar problems, making intuition and judgment valuable when managers have relevant backgrounds. Option A is incorrect because mathematical models support objective rather than subjective analysis that relies on experience and intuition primarily. Option C is incorrect because statistical data enables quantitative analysis rather than the subjective approach based on personal experience factors. Option D is incorrect because measurement tools provide objective data rather than supporting the experience-based subjective analytical approach effectively. Subjective analysis might seem less rigorous than number crunching, but it has its place, especially when managers have extensive similar experience. Think of a veteran restaurant manager who's opened 15 locations. When scouting a new site, they might instantly sense whether it will succeed. They notice subtle cues. This intuition isn't random. It's pattern recognition built from years of experience. Complex mathematical models wouldn't help. They'd need experience to know which variables matter. But extensive similar experience, that creates informed intuition. The manager's brain has processed thousands of observations, creating an internal model that guides subjective but accurate decisions. 31. Quality assurance processes use mathematics and statistics to reduce product rejection rates during manufacturing. This analysis requires collecting data at what intervals? A. Random occasional samples. B. Each production stage. C. Final inspection only. D. Customer complaint points. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Each production stage. Explanation. Option B is correct because data collection at every production stage enables statistical analysis to identify exactly where defects occur in manufacturing processes. Option A is incorrect because random sampling might miss systematic problems that occur consistently at specific production stages or times. Option C is incorrect because final inspection cannot identify which earlier stage caused defects, preventing targeted process improvement efforts effectively. Option D is incorrect because customer complaints occur after production, too late to prevent defects or identify their manufacturing origin. Quality assurance in manufacturing requires systematic data collection, and timing is everything. Imagine a production line making smartphones. Components assembled, screens attached, software installed, packaging. Random occasional sampling might catch some problems, but miss systematic issues. If a machine malfunctions every Monday morning, random sampling might never detect it. Final inspection only tells you something's wrong, not where or why. Customer complaints come too late. Products are already sold and reputation damaged. But collecting data at each production stage, Stage 1, 5 defects. Stage 3, 47 defects. Immediately you know Stage 3 has problems. Systematic collection pinpoints where interventions are needed. 32. Lead time in inventory management represents the duration between placing an order and receiving goods. This factor directly affects calculation of what? A. Product quality standards. B. Reorder point timing. C. Customer satisfaction scores. D. Employee productivity rates. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Reorder point timing. Explanation. Option B is correct because lead time multiplied by daily demand determines when to reorder, ensuring inventory arrives before existing stock depletes completely. Option A is incorrect because lead time relates to delivery duration rather than establishing or measuring product quality standard specifications. Option C is incorrect because lead time affects inventory availability rather than directly determining customer satisfaction, score measurements or calculations. Option D is incorrect because lead time measures supplier delivery rather than calculating or affecting employee productivity rate performance metrics. Lead time is a critical factor in inventory management that directly determines when you need to reorder. Lead time is simply the days between placing an order and receiving it. If your supplier takes 10 days to deliver after you order, that's your lead time. Now multiply this by your daily demand. Sell 50 units per day with 10-day lead time. You need 500 units. This calculation gives you the reorder point timing. It doesn't affect product quality standards, satisfaction scores, or employee productivity. Those are separate business metrics. Lead time specifically impacts reorder point timing because it tells you how long you'll be selling from existing stock while waiting. Order too late, stock out. Order too early, excess inventory. 33. Foundational research using qualitative methods helps businesses discover not just what customers want, but also why they want it. This deeper understanding comes from what? A. Statistical purchase patterns. B. Verbal customer descriptions. C. Numerical satisfaction scores. D. Mathematical demand models. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Verbal customer descriptions. Explanation. Option B is correct because verbal or written descriptions from customers reveal motivations, beliefs, and needs that explain the reasoning behind their wants. Option A is incorrect because purchase patterns show what people buy rather than explaining the underlying reasons or motivations for choices. Option C is incorrect because numerical scores indicate satisfaction levels without revealing the specific reasons or motivations behind those ratings. Option D is incorrect because demand models predict quantities rather than uncovering the personal motivations driving customer wants and needs. Foundational qualitative research goes deeper than surface-level data by uncovering the why behind customer behaviour. Sales data shows what people buy, 10,000 units of product A. Statistical patterns reveal when they buy. Satisfaction scores indicate how happy they are. Mathematical models predict future quantities. But none of these explain why customers make these choices. Verbal customer descriptions through interviews, focus groups, and open-ended surveys reveal motivations. A customer might say, "I buy your product because it reminds me of my grandmother's cooking." That emotional connection, that nostalgic motivation, that personal belief driving the purchase. No amount of numerical analysis would uncover this. These verbal descriptions expose the human reasons behind numbers. 34. Businesses facing uncertainty about new product introductions cannot rely on historical sales data that doesn't exist. The necessary first approach involves what? A. Statistical projection models. B. Expert judgment gathering. C. Mathematical optimization calculations. D. Regression analysis forecasting. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Expert judgment gathering. Explanation. Option B is correct because expert judgment provides qualitative insights about new products when no historical data exists for quantitative analysis methods initially. Option A is incorrect because projection models require baseline historical data that doesn't exist for completely new product introductions initially. Option C is incorrect because optimization calculations need numerical inputs and parameters unavailable without prior product sales history or experience. Option D is incorrect because regression analysis requires historical data relationships that new products lacking sales history cannot provide yet. New product introductions present a unique analytical challenge. There's literally no historical data to analyze. Imagine inventing the first smartphone before they existed. You can't run statistical projections without baseline data. Project from what? Mathematical optimization needs numbers that don't exist yet. Regression analysis requires historical relationships. But there's no history. What does work? Expert judgment gathering. Industry experts assess market readiness. Technology experts evaluate feasibility. Marketing experts gauge consumer appetite. Retail experts estimate adoption rates. These experts draw from knowledge of related products, market trends, and consumer behavior. They provide qualitative insights that become the foundation for initial decisions before data exists. 35. Objective analysis using facts and figures eliminates emphasis on which elements that might bias business decisions. A. Mathematical calculations only. B. Opinions and emotions. C. Measurable performance metrics. D. Statistical data patterns. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Opinions and emotions. Explanation. Option B is correct because objective analysis focuses on observable facts while eliminating personal opinions, emotions, and feelings that could bias decision-making. Option A is incorrect because mathematical calculations are central to objective analysis rather than being eliminated from the analytical process. Option C is incorrect because measurable metrics are essential components of objective analysis rather than elements to be eliminated entirely. Option D is incorrect because statistical patterns provide objective evidence rather than being subjective elements that should be removed. Objective analysis represents the gold standard for unbiased decision-making by focusing exclusively on facts and figures. When you use objective analysis, you're deliberately eliminating things that cloud judgment. Think about evaluating employee performance objectively. Instead of seems motivated, you measure completed 15 projects. Instead of appears tired, you document arrived late 6 times. Mathematical calculations support this. They don't have feelings about numbers. Measurable metrics are facts. Statistical patterns exist independently of what we think about them. But opinions, those vary by person. Emotions, they fluctuate with mood. Personal feelings, they introduce bias. Objective analysis strips away these subjective elements, leaving only observable facts. 36. Metrics in quantitative analysis serve as measurements to gauge performance instead of relying on guesses. Which business element represents a specific metric? A. General market conditions. B. Revenue dollar amounts. C. Employee job satisfaction. D. Corporate culture values. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B, revenue dollar amounts. Explanation. Option B is correct because revenue provides specific numerical measurements for gauging financial performance, making it a quantifiable metric for business analysis. Option A is incorrect because general conditions are broad qualitative assessments rather than specific numerical measurements for performance gauging purposes. Option C is incorrect because satisfaction involves subjective feelings that are difficult to measure precisely as specific numerical performance metrics. Option D is incorrect because culture values are qualitative, organizational characteristics rather than specific numerical measurements of performance outcomes directly. Metrics are the backbone of quantitative analysis. They're specific numerical measurements that gauge performance. Revenue dollar amounts are perfect examples of metrics. Can you build a mathematical model for something feels off? Absolutely not. Mathematical models need clearly defined problems with identified variables. You need to know what you're optimizing or solving for. General market conditions aren't metrics. They're qualitative assessments like favorable or challenging. Employee satisfaction involves subjective feelings. Corporate culture values are philosophical principles, not numbers. But revenue dollar amounts? They're concrete, specific, measurable performance indicators. Every dollar is countable. Every change is calculable. Metrics like revenue transform vague success into precise numerical values. 37. When qualitative research reveals complex problems spanning multiple departments, managers can progress from initial discovery to developing what type of information? A. General surface observations. B. Detailed specific insights. C. Broad assumption categories. D. Vague possibility options. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Detailed specific insights. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative analysis progresses from discovering complex issues to developing detailed specific information about underlying causes and connections. Option A is incorrect because the goal is moving beyond surface observations to uncover deeper, more specific insights about problems. Option C is incorrect because broad assumptions lack the specificity that qualitative research aims to develop through detailed investigation methods. Option D is incorrect because vague possibilities don't provide the detailed specific information managers need for addressing complex organizational problems. Complex organizational problems require a journey from confusion to clarity, and qualitative research provides the roadmap. When multiple departments are affected, initial discovery reveals it's bigger than expected. Marketing reports declining effectiveness, operations mentions delays, finance notes rising costs, customer service sees complaints. These seem unrelated until qualitative research digs deeper. Through cross-departmental interviews, patterns emerge. Document analysis reveals gaps. Observation uncovers bottlenecks. General observations would just note problems exist. Vague possibilities offer no direction. But detailed specific insights, those reveal that a key supplier changed their process, creating cascade effects. This progression transforms complex confusion into actionable specific insights, enabling targeted solutions. 38. Safety stock calculations protect businesses from stockouts during uncertain demand periods. This buffer inventory addresses which specific supply chain risk? A. Supplier quality issues. B. Demand uncertainty variations. C. Transportation damage losses. D. Warehouse capacity limits. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Demand uncertainty variations. Explanation. Option B is correct because safety stock specifically buffers against uncertain demand fluctuations, preventing stockouts when actual demand exceeds forecasted expectations unexpectedly. Option A is incorrect because safety stock addresses demand variability rather than protecting against defective products from supplier quality problems. Option C is incorrect because safety stock buffers demand uncertainty rather than compensating for products damaged during transportation or shipping. Option D is incorrect because safety stock manages demand risk rather than solving physical storage capacity constraints in warehouse facilities. Safety stock is your insurance policy against the uncertainty of customer demand. While businesses try to predict demand accurately, reality rarely matches predictions perfectly. Maybe a social media influencer mentions your product, causing sudden spike. Perhaps weather changes drive unexpected purchases. Competitor stockouts might send customers your way. Safety stock specifically addresses demand uncertainty variations, the gap between what you expect and what actually happens. It's not about supplier quality, transportation damage, or warehouse capacity. When you typically sell 100 units but occasionally see spikes to 150, that extra 50 units prevents stockouts. It buffers against the inherent uncertainty in predicting customer demand. 39. Alternative hypothesis statements in research declare that relationships exist between variables, contrasting with null hypotheses. Researchers aim to gather evidence for what purpose? A. Prove null correctness. B. Reject null hypothesis. C. Confirm both statements. D. Eliminate all variables. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Reject null hypothesis. Explanation. Option B is correct because researchers collect evidence attempting to reject the null hypothesis, thereby supporting the alternative hypothesis of variable relationships existing. Option A is incorrect because researchers aim to reject rather than prove the null hypothesis through evidence gathering and statistical testing. Option C is incorrect because null and alternative hypotheses are mutually exclusive, so both cannot be confirmed simultaneously through research. Option D is incorrect because the goal is establishing relationships between variables rather than eliminating variables from the research study entirely. The alternative hypothesis is where research gets interesting. It's the claim that something is happening between your variables. While the null states no relationship, the alternative declares yes, they're connected. Researchers don't try to prove the null correct. That would be affirming nothing is happening. They can't confirm both statements simultaneously. They're mutually exclusive opposites. Instead, researchers collect evidence attempting to reject the null hypothesis. Think of it like a court case. Null is innocence. Alternative is guilt. Prosecutors gather evidence to reject innocence. If successful, researchers reject the null hypothesis of no relationship, thereby supporting the alternative hypothesis. This systematic approach ensures we only claim relationships when evidence supports them. 40. Decision makers cannot control parameters in mathematical models. Unlike decision variables, they can adjust. Corporate income tax rates represent which model component? A. Decision variable input. B. Parameter fixed value. C. Controllable business factor. D. Adjustable model element. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Parameter fixed value. Explanation. Option B is correct because tax rates are externally determined parameters that businesses cannot control, making them fixed inputs in mathematical models. Option A is incorrect because tax rates are set by government rather than being variables that business decision makers can control. Option C is incorrect because corporations cannot control tax rates despite being affected by them in their business operations significantly. Option D is incorrect because tax rates cannot be adjusted by the business, making them parameters rather than adjustable model elements. Corporate income tax rates perfectly illustrate the concept of parameters in business models. Parameters are values that affect your calculations, but lie completely outside your control. A company can decide many things: how much to produce, where to sell, what to charge. But tax rates, those are set by government legislation. You can't negotiate or adjust them. This makes tax rates classic parameters, not decision variables. They're not controllable factors or adjustable elements. Companies must simply comply with whatever rates exist. Your model might show lower taxes increase profit, but you can't change them. Parameters like tax rates represent external constraints within which businesses operate, unchangeable rules affecting everyone. 41. Observation as a qualitative research tool differs from surveys or interviews by providing what unique type of data about subjects? A. Predicted future behaviour. B. Direct behaviour evidence. C. Historical action memories. D. Hypothetical response scenarios. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Direct behaviour evidence. Explanation. Option B is correct because observation provides direct evidence of actual behaviour as it occurs, rather than relying on self-reported or recalled information. Option A is incorrect because observation documents current behaviour, rather than attempting to predict what subjects might do in future. Option C is incorrect because observation captures present actions rather than depending on potentially unreliable memories of past behaviour patterns. Option D is incorrect because observation records real behaviour rather than exploring hypothetical scenarios about how subjects might theoretically respond. Observation research captures truth in its purest form, what people actually do when they think no one's analysing them. This method provides direct behaviour evidence that no other approach can match. It doesn't predict future behaviour. That requires assumptions about patterns continuing. It doesn't rely on historical memories. Those are often inaccurate or selectively remembered. Observation documents real behaviour as it happens. Watch shoppers navigate your store. Do they follow your design path or create shortcuts? Observe employees. Are they following procedures or developing workarounds? This direct evidence reveals behavioural truth unfiltered by what people think they should say or remember doing. It's reality captured in real time. Direct behaviour evidence. 42. Focus groups gathering verbal descriptions help businesses understand customer wants, attitudes, and beliefs through direct interaction. This method provides insights that numbers cannot capture about what? A. Statistical probability distributions. B. Personal motivation factors. C. Mathematical correlation coefficients. D. Numerical demand quantities. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Personal motivation factors. Explanation. Option B is correct because focus groups reveal personal motivations, attitudes, and beliefs behind customer behaviour that quantitative data alone cannot uncover effectively. Option A is incorrect because probability distributions are mathematical concepts rather than the personal insights that focus groups specifically provide qualitatively. Option C is incorrect because correlation coefficients are statistical measures rather than the subjective motivations focus groups are designed to explore. Option D is incorrect because demand quantities are numerical measurements rather than the personal factors and motivations focus groups reveal effectively. Focus groups unlock the human dimension of business decisions by revealing personal motivation factors that drive behaviour. Statistical distributions and correlation coefficients can't capture these human elements. Focus groups create interactive discussions where participants build on each other's ideas. Someone mentions price concerns, another adds quality expectations, a third reveals emotional connections to brands. These conversations uncover motivations invisible in quantitative data. A participant might reveal, "I choose this brand because the founder's story inspires me." Try finding that in a spreadsheet. Focus groups reveal beliefs about products, fears about changes, hopes for improvements, the complex web of personal factors influencing decisions. These personal motivation factors explain human reality behind behaviour. 43. Phone surveys collecting customer opinions about product preferences generate which type of data that differs from sales transaction records? A. Objective measurement data. B. Qualitative opinion data. C. Quantitative calculation data. D. Mathematical model data. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Qualitative opinion data. Explanation. Option B is correct because phone surveys gather subjective opinions and preferences, producing qualitative data about customer thoughts rather than objective numerical measurements. Option A is incorrect because opinions are subjective rather than objective measurements that can be verified independently of personal perspectives entirely. Option C is incorrect because opinions don't provide the numerical values needed for quantitative calculations or mathematical analysis directly or precisely. Option D is incorrect because survey opinions provide qualitative insights rather than the numerical inputs required for mathematical modelling purposes specifically. Phone surveys collecting customer opinions generate fundamentally different data from sales transaction records. Sales transactions give you objective numerical data, 500 units sold, average transaction $35. But phone surveys asking for opinions, that's qualitative opinion data through and through. How do you feel about our service? Generates subjective responses. What drives your purchase decisions? Yields personal perspectives. This isn't objective measurement data. Opinions can't be independently verified. It's not quantitative calculation data. You can't meaningfully multiply opinions. It's not mathematical model data. Phone surveys produce qualitative opinion data. Subjective thoughts, feelings, and perspectives that reveal the human experience behind numbers. Both types are valuable but fundamentally different in nature. 44. Questionnaires designed to gather subjective data help companies understand new product potential when historical information is unavailable. These tools collect what specifically? A. Precise sales forecasts. B. Expert opinion insights. C. Mathematical probability data. D. Statistical correlation patterns. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Expert opinion insights. Explanation. Option B is correct because subjective questionnaires gather expert opinions and judgments about new products when no historical data exists for analysis purposes. Option A is incorrect because subjective questionnaires cannot provide precise numerical forecasts without historical data to base calculations upon mathematically. Option C is incorrect because subjective responses don't yield the numerical probability values that mathematical analysis would require for calculations. Option D is incorrect because correlation patterns require historical numerical data relationships that don't exist for completely new product concepts. When launching unprecedented products, subjective questionnaires become your crystal ball into market potential. Without historical data, you can't generate precise sales forecasts. There's nothing to forecast from. Mathematical probability requires known frequencies, but nothing like your product has existed. Statistical correlations need relationships between variables, but you're creating new relationships. What subjective questionnaires do provide is expert opinion insights. Ask industry veterans, how might consumers react? Ask potential customers, would this solve problems? Ask retailers, could you see this selling? These aren't random guesses, they're informed judgments from people with relevant expertise. An expert noting this could disrupt the industry offers strategic insight, their subjective but educated subjectivity. 45. Production capacity decisions using quantitative analysis would begin by evaluating data to determine the break-even point before calculating what additional information. A. Employee satisfaction levels. B. Required profit increases. C. Management preference rankings. D. Subjective quality perceptions. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Required profit increases. Explanation. Option B is correct because after establishing break-even, quantitative analysis continues to calculate the production increases needed to achieve desired profit targets. Option A is incorrect because satisfaction levels are subjective measures rather than the profit calculations that follow break-even analysis mathematically. Option C is incorrect because preference rankings are subjective rather than the objective profit calculations that extend beyond break-even points. Option D is incorrect because quality perceptions are subjective assessments rather than the numerical profit analysis following break-even determination specifically. Production capacity decisions showcase the power of sequential quantitative analysis. The journey begins with break-even analysis, the foundation of production planning, where costs equal revenue. First, calculate fixed costs divided by contribution margin to find break-even. Say it's 1,000 units. Below this, you lose money. Above it, you profit. But that's just the beginning. The next phase calculates required profit increases. If you want 50,000 profit with $10 margin per unit, you need 5,000 units above break-even. This isn't about satisfaction or preferences. After establishing break-even, quantitative analysis continues to determine exactly how much additional production generates desired profit levels. This mathematical progression guides capacity decisions with precision. 46. Mathematical symbols and expressions in models help managers find optimal solutions by representing real situations numerically. These representations allow for what type of analysis? A. Emotional impact assessment. B. Objective calculation methods. C. Subjective quality evaluation. D. Personal preference ranking. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Objective calculation methods. Explanation. Option B is correct because mathematical representations enable objective calculations that find optimal solutions without bias from personal opinions or emotions interfering. Option A is incorrect because mathematical models calculate objective outcomes rather than assessing subjective emotional impacts on decision-making processes. Option C is incorrect because mathematical symbols enable numerical analysis rather than subjective evaluations of quality that lack precise measurement. Option D is incorrect because mathematical models provide objective optimization rather than ranking alternatives based on personal subjective preference factors. Mathematical models transform messy, real-world situations into clean, numerical representations that enable objective analysis. When managers use symbols and expressions, they're creating frameworks for calculation. Consider a pricing model. Revenue equals price times quantity. This simple expression enables countless objective calculations. What price maximizes revenue? How does quantity change with price? These aren't emotional assessments. Emotions don't fit equations. They're not subjective quality evaluations or personal preference rankings. Preferences don't have mathematical relationships. Mathematical representations enable objective calculations that find optimal solutions without bias. Every manager using the same model reaches the same conclusion. That's calculated optimization replacing gut feelings. 47. Complex multifaceted business issues require initial qualitative analysis before quantitative methods because managers must first accomplish what critical task? A. calculate profit margins. B, understand problem nature. C, measure performance metrics. D, determine inventory levels. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B, understand problem nature. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative analysis helps managers understand complex problem characteristics before attempting to develop quantitative models or mathematical solutions effectively. Option A is incorrect because calculating margins requires understanding the problem first to know which financial factors are actually relevant mathematically. Option C is incorrect because selecting appropriate metrics requires first understanding what aspects of the complex problem need measurement specifically. Option D is incorrect because inventory considerations may be irrelevant until qualitative analysis reveals the actual nature of multifaceted problems. Complex multifaceted problems are like icebergs. What you see initially is just the tip. Before you can solve these problems mathematically, you must first understand their nature through qualitative analysis. Imagine declining performance across multiple metrics. You could calculate profit margins, but that's premature without understanding underlying issues. You could measure metrics, but which ones matter? Qualitative analysis reveals the problem's true nature. Through interviews, you discover low morale from restructuring. Through observation, you find communication breakdowns. Through documents, you uncover conflicting directives. Only after understanding these interconnected human and organizational factors can you identify which measures matter and develop appropriate models. Understanding must come before measurement. Understand problem nature first. 48. Declining sales situations where numerical data exists but reasons remain unclear require businesses to employ which analytical method to uncover underlying causes? A. Statistical sales projections. B. Qualitative investigation methods. C. Mathematical optimization models. D. Quantitative forecasting techniques. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Qualitative investigation methods. Explanation. Option B is correct because qualitative methods like interviews and focus groups reveal why sales decline when numbers alone cannot explain underlying causes. Option A is incorrect because projections predict future sales rather than explaining the reasons behind current sales decline patterns occurring. Option C is incorrect because optimization models find best solutions rather than uncovering the hidden causes of performance problems developing. Option D is incorrect because forecasting predicts future outcomes rather than discovering why current negative trends are happening, now specifically. Sales declines present a frustrating puzzle. The numbers clearly show something's wrong, but not why. You have data showing 15% drop, started in March, affects all regions. Statistical projections can forecast continued decline. Mathematical optimization might improve margins. Quantitative forecasting predicts future sales, but none of these explain why sales are falling. This requires qualitative investigation methods. Interview sales staff. They reveal competitor advantages, conduct focus groups. Customers express changing preferences. Survey lost customers. They'll tell you exactly why they left. These investigations uncover human reasons behind numerical trends. Maybe your brand feels outdated, perhaps service declined, possibly social media damaged reputation. Numbers show problems. Qualitative investigation reveals causes. 49. Blending subjective and objective analysis improves business decision quality because not all goals and objectives can be practically subjected to what process. A. Management review approval. B. Quantification into numbers. C. Stakeholder communication discussion. D. Strategic planning consideration. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. quantification into numbers. Explanation. Option B is correct because some business aspects cannot be practically quantified, making blended analysis necessary to consider both measurable and subjective factors. Option A is incorrect because management review is a process all decisions undergo rather than something goals cannot be subjected to. Option C is incorrect because stakeholder communication is standard practice rather than something that certain objectives cannot undergo practically or effectively. Option D is incorrect because strategic planning considers all objectives rather than being a process some goals cannot practically be subjected to. The best business decisions blend both subjective and objective analysis because reality resists complete quantification. Some aspects naturally fit numerical analysis, costs, revenues, production rates, but other crucial factors resist quantification into numbers. How do you quantify company culture? What number represents employee creativity? How do you mathematically model customer trust? These elements profoundly impact business success, but can't be reduced to numbers. Management review, stakeholder communication, and strategic planning are standard processes, not the limitation here. A purely quantitative approach might optimize efficiency while destroying morale. Pure subjective analysis might feel right but prove disastrous. The blend creates decisions both financially sound and humanly wise. 50. Research questions in quantitative analysis must lead to testable hypotheses with specific predictions about relationships. This requirement ensures the research produces what outcome? A. Subjective interpretation flexibility. B. Evidence-based conclusions. C. Opinion-based recommendations. D. Intuitive decision guidance. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Evidence-based conclusions. Explanation. Option B is correct because testable hypotheses enable researchers to collect evidence that either supports or rejects predictions, producing objective evidence-based conclusions. Option A is incorrect because testable hypotheses reduce subjective interpretation by requiring evidence to support or reject specific predicted relationships objectively. Option C is incorrect because hypothesis testing produces evidence-based findings rather than recommendations based solely on personal opinions or preferences. Option D is incorrect because testable hypotheses lead to data-driven conclusions rather than decisions based on intuition or feelings alone. The scientific rigor of quantitative analysis depends on testable hypotheses that produce evidence-based conclusions. When research questions lead to specific predictions about relationships, the process becomes systematic. Researchers state predictions clearly. Advertising increases sales, training reduces errors, automation cuts costs. Then they collect data to test these predictions. The numbers either support or refute. There's no room for subjective interpretation flexibility. Evidence speaks clearly. Opinion-based recommendations would rely on personal views. Intuitive guidance would depend on gut feelings instead of facts. If data shows advertising increased sales 23% with significance, that's not opinion, it's evidence. This systematic approach transforms research into scientific investigation, producing evidence-based conclusions. You have reached the end of our first question set. For the free complete exam preparation, visit our website link in the description, where you find thousands more practice questions and comprehensive study guides. Thanks for studying with us today. See you in the next video.